What does Didaskalos Manthanon mean in ancient Greek? Google Gemini reply: the ancient Greek phrase Didaskalos Manthanon translates literally to Didaskalos, teacher or instructor, a masculine noun. Manthanon, learning or the one learning, a masculine present active participle of the verb Manthanon, which means to learn. Therefore, the phrase means the teacher learning or a learning teacher. This combination creates a meaningful, though perhaps uncommon, concept: a teacher who is also still in the process of learning, suggesting an open-minded and growing instructor. Welcome to Didaskalos Manthanon channel. On this channel you will find self-help or self-improvement in multiple languages. In English, French, Spanish and Russian, at least, perhaps more. So, what's the point? The point is literally self-help, self-improvement. So let's look at the Wikipedia definition of self-help. Self-help or self-improvement is a focus on self-guided in contrast to professionally guided efforts to cope with the life problems, economically, physically, intellectually, or emotionally, often with a substantial psychological basis. So, here things are crystal clear. Economy, physical body, intellectual, the mind, and emotions. How do we do that? Well, learning languages, it's growing intellectually. Solving coding puzzles, it's also growing intellectually, but also emotionally. Because learning the language is something that you take a textbook and that's almost yet. Even though it's not really like that, but let's say for the sake of the thing, that's quite yet. Even though there are some challenges when you want to really learn the language, communicate with the people, but let's say you can learn grammar with grammar books. Code, you don't learn code from code book because you can face new problems and you don't have the solution, so you have to create, to invent it, which is very different. Human languages take more time to change, whereas code is changing all the time. And you could say, hey, why learning code in the age of AI? Isn't it useless? No, it's not. And I will prove you wrong if you think that. Okay, so first of all, English is not my native language. So if you consider that I made any mistake, feel free to correct me in the comment. Okay, so I will first explain this coding challenge from Free Code Camp. Okay, I'm doing the daily challenge session. So here is the problem. So here's my solution, which is not optimized, but I will explain my solution first and we'll see later on if I can optimize it. So, battle of words. Given two sentences representing your team and an opposing team, where each word from your team battles the corresponding word from the opposing team. Determine which team wins using the following rules. The given sentences will always contain the same number of words, which is really useful for the solution. We'll see that in a minute. Words are separated by a single space or will only contain letters, which is also really convenient. So this is very important to always have in mind that in coding, you always have to make limits on the conditions that you want to satisfy. Very important. So a good practice would be to start with a simpler version of the problems that you want to solve. Okay? So let's move on to the next rule. The next rule is the value of each word is the sum of its letters. Letters A to Z correspond to the values 1 through 26. For example, A is 1 and Z is 26. A capital letter doubles the value of the letter. For example, capital A is 2 and capital Z is 52. Words battle in order. The first word of your team battles the first word of the opposing team, and so on. A word wins if its value is greater than the opposing word's value. The team with more winning words is the winner. Return, we win if your team is the winner, we lose if your team loses, and draw if both teams have the same number of wins. Okay, so how do we tackle that? So I'm using Python. Maybe one day I will change to JavaScript, but right now I'm using Python. And if you are new to code, I recommend you to use Python. And in the age of AI, Python is in a way the kind of default language used by AI, particularly ChatGPT and Google Gemini and even Claude. Anyway, so we have a function, battle. We have two arguments in that function, our team, which is our team phrase, and opponent, which is the opponent phrase. Oh, by the way, we have some examples here if things are not crystal clear. Okay, for example, here we have hello world, hello world. Notice the difference, hello world and hello word. So that's normal that the first team is winning. Okay. Then we have the variation with the capital letters. Then we have other stuff. Okay. Okay. So first thing we have to do is by default we have strings, but we want to compare to battle words, not strings. So we have to split the string into a list of words. Hence, we are using the method, Python method, split, giving the argument space, so that we can transform, we can convert. For example, in this example, hello world will become two words, hello and world. We do the same with the opponent phrase, so that we have two lists at that point. Now we have to capture all the alphabet letters, and we have to attribute them values. So the best data structure to do that in Python are dictionaries. Dictionaries are key value pair structures. So how does it work? This is quite straightforward. So here we have the alphabet variable, which has all the alphabet letters. Okay, so always use straightforward name of variables. Okay, so now we go through the alphabet string. Something that is very important to have in mind is as in coding, and particularly in Python, when you go through a string, which is a string of characters or an array, a table, list, whatever you call it, indices started at 0. So if we have 26 elements, that will go from 0 up to 25, which means that since the values that are supposed to be attributed are from 1 to 26, so we need to shift from 1. So we need to add plus 1. Okay? So we do for each element of this string, so that means for each lowercase letter, we attribute the index plus 1. So for here, that would be index 0 plus 1, 1. So that would be A is with the value 1. And we do that all the length of this string. So at that point, letter values is a dictionary with lowercase a, value 1, lowercase b, value 2, and so on and so forth, up to lowercase z, value 26. Okay? Now, what we want to do is to, so for this, you can, wait, I will explain this in a minute. But right now, we need to do that, okay? We need to do the same for the capital letters, so the uppercase, because we did it, we have a dictionary only with lowercase, and we have to give a different value for the uppercase letters. So what we do is we say, okay, so go through the alphabet, because this is exactly the alphabet. And you add to the dictionary for the key. The key is what? The key is element of that string, but to the uppercase. So we use the method upper. And for the value, you want to double. So you have the same shift to do like for the lowercase, and you have to multiply by 2. Hence this code. Okay? So technically I could cut this line and put it later because it would be more logical to make things that goes together. So at that point of the code, line 8, we have finished. We have finished the dictionary. We have the dictionary with all the lowercase letter and capital letters with the right proper values. Okay, so we have the list of our words from our team, the list of words from the opponent team, and the dictionary to get the value for each letter. So now we need to go through each list of words, and for each list of words to compare each word together. So we define the score values, the score variables. So we start with 0, okay? Now we go through, because they said the given sentences will always contain the same number of words. So our two lists, the list of our team words and the opponent words, have the same number, so the same length. So here I could say length of our words. Okay, sorry, not here. Here. Okay? So we are going through the list of each word. We initiate the word score to 0. Okay? And then we go through this word, which is a string, which has letters. And for each letters, we will go and attribute the value that we have in the dictionary. That's the reason why we have this. Letter values is the dictionary for which key for the letter of the words in our list. And we add its score to the word score. We do the same with opponent word score. We cannot do it in the same for loop because we said that each sentences will contain the same number of words, but words itself, the words would have different number of letters, okay? Because remember that loop is going through each word. So we are doing it for the first list, we are doing it for the second list, and at some point we have finished to get the score for the first, for the word from the first list and the word for the second list. So we have to compare them. So what is the rule? Word battle in order. The first word of your team battles the first word of the opposing team, and so on. Okay? So a word wins if its value is greater than the opposing word value. So if our word score is greater than the opponent word score, we update the score +1. If this is the reverse, we update the score of the opponent. And there is another case if they have the same score. If they have the same number, we don't do nothing because it's useless to attribute a point for each of them. We just do nothing, okay? And we were still on this, in this loop, okay, in the list. So we repeat that for each time, and we see there are two different variables, the variable for the general score and the variable for the word score, which is rebooted each time we go through the loop, okay? So at the end of the loop, we have the general score of our team and the opponent score, and we can compare. And if we have a better score, we return win, and if we have a lower score, we return lose, and if we have the same score, we return draw. And we can do it here, and it works. Okay, so coding challenge successfully done. Alright, so that's it for this first video. I hope you enjoy this idea of having mental challenge and drawing every day. In the next video, I will make it in French. So, see you, subscribe, hit the like button, write down in the comments what you think about that concept. This is a daily challenge for growing every single day. That's the point of this channel. So let me know in the comments what you think about that concept.